It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our daily gun show. Come to you live every weeknight at midnight Eastern, and we talk about guns for about an hour or maybe less because somebody's antsy today. Somebody's really antsy this afternoon. So we've invited quite a few people out there that are traveling or who travel for the Second Amendment, and today we're going to be talking about 2A on the road. Conversations about getting together with the gun community. So that's what we're going to talk about. So Roy seems to be out there. Good evening. But I suspect there's other people out there because we have a poll going and we have a whole bunch of answers to the poll already. So if you're listening on that channel, sure, the puppy's looking at you, but there's a poll on this channel over here. So you come over here to the big channel and leave a answer as to what do you think? How important is traveling for 2A? Let's put this right behind the puppy so everybody can see it. Right behind the little co-host. I got him licking his lips right there. So there's the poll. You can vote on it. The first one is critical. How important is traveling for 2A? It's critical for 2A. It's important for 2A. It can be important for 2A. Not really that necessary. So we're going to get a spectrum of answers, I suspect. And like I said, I've invited 25 people tonight. I don't know if Worthwhile Fun wants a link. You can have a link if you want. I don't know if I have your email. But I've invited a bunch of people who may or may not be on the road right now. And in Indianapolis, I'm sure there's giant parties going on right now. And get-togethers and whatnot. So how critical is that? I'm saying... for the first vote there, critical for 2A right now, that's winning with 50% of the votes. Coming in tied for second with 25% each is important and can be important. So puppy's about to fade here. So he gets cranky at the beginning of the show, and then he gets tired, and then he falls asleep. And then unless I wake him up, he's good for the whole show. Lots of people have told me I shouldn't have a dog on the show. Well, at least one person has told me. Critical mistake having a dog on the show. Actually, two people have told me. Critical mistake having a dog on the show. Okay, so yeah, I totally understand, but thanks for joining us. So we'll talk about it, and if people join in, then it can be more of a conversation or a discussion, I guess. But until then, we'll see how many people join in the text conversation. Otherwise, I'll just blather a bit. So if nobody joins in here in about 10 minutes, I'm going to switch modes because I got an idea of something else I wanted to try. And we might be able to incorporate it into what we're doing here. As you notice, Puppy got disgusted that nobody joined in. So as a good co-host, he's laid down in disgust as a protest to all the people who are traveling for 2A right now, but have also chosen not to link in, join into this conversation. So let's see, traveling for 2A. Why it's important? Why is it critical? Why is it just important? Why can it be important? And how could it not really be that necessary? Whoa. Feel free if you're voting out there to leave some comment with why you voted the way you did. Personally, I think it's important for sure. Can be important. Obviously, anything can be important. Not really that important is ridiculous. So anything can be important. Important, sure. I think it's everything's travel is important for a lot of things, and 2A is one of them. Critical for 2A. I think it's been pretty significant. So things like the DC project, since we have Worthwhile Fun out there, and since that's a fairly recent thing, that's a group of people that get together and accomplish goals. And they do that in real life. They do that with boots on the ground. So that part has been very influential. We have the course cases that are out there, and those were instigated by circumstances, right? Like situations, and those the seeking out of people for what are they called? The what are they called in a court case? Like Heller and McDonald and the rest. They were all picked from groups of people who were in similar circumstances in order to take a case to the Supreme Court to challenge an unanswered question. In the case of Heller, whether or not the right of the people to keep and bear arms applies to the people or to somehow to the state. It was made clear that that was the first Supreme Court's case to say that that was right of the people. Then we have McDonald that says that it applies to the states. Right? I think that's how it works. So those court cases didn't just come out of thin air. Somebody just didn't sit in an office somewhere. So people got together, I guess is where I'm going with this. People got together and decided, let's do something. And I know that those people were sitting around in a room, and I don't know what caused those people to sit around in a room. If it was just a bunch of people sitting around a fancy lawyer room, or if it was a bunch of people just sitting around at some airport. But I suspect something brought those people together. And if I had more time, I could go find those people out because they are identifiable. The people that created the Heller case, that's a whole thing. Like that was engineered, that was created. And then, with acting on intent, they followed through on it. So that was a bunch of people getting together. As far as I know, I don't think that was a story or whatever. I mean, they were literally in the same room. So that's travel. Now, again, I don't know if they traveled specifically for that, if they came up with the idea and then decided to meet up to kind of cement the idea or something, or test everyone's interest in it. But right away, if that was the case, they're testing everyone's interest in the pursuit, and travel was an indicator, right? A way to gauge their level of commitment to it. Now, if they were there for some other reason, then again, they used the thing for 2A, or it became an event that they were together for that became 2A. I'm assuming that most of the other court cases were similar. Now we have things like the Gun Rights Policy Conference, which is a catalyst for those events. So the Gun Rights Policy Conference is put on by the Second Amendment Foundation and the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms, CCERKRB. And that organization holds a conference for anybody who wants to show up. It's actually free. I think they invite quite a few people in the industry to show up and essentially give a situation report on what they've been doing, maybe offer some insight as to what might be on the horizon, maybe even a call to action if they need help with something or if they see something imminent. And then there's not really questions and answers. That's frustrating. But then the next person will take the stage. Now, often they bring people up in groups and they take the stage for like some reason. They like to group people together there. But that's an event where they bring people together essentially once a year since the mid 80s. And that creates a environment where Second Amendment activists and advocates know that they can pursue or continue relationships or projects. So it's been at a slower pace over the decades, and it's increased. And I think some have even questioned its necessity in recent years. And that's one of the reasons I bring this up, because there's definitely, and they won't show up here because the people that suggest we shouldn't meet up typically not going to show up and voice that opinion. They're just going to say it from the sidelines. But there are people that question the necessity of the gun rights policy conference, if it's valid, if they should do it. But again, there's a benefit to individuals who are like-minded getting together to test each other's resolve, to understand each other's commitment and their value to the team. That can only be measured when you're together. I've certainly adjusted my opinion of people after the gun rights policy conference, seeing who's standing around, who's there for flash and sizzle, who's there to get drunk, who's there to shake hands and get selfies, who's there to work, who's there walking away satisfied, who's walking away frustrated, who's walking away, with profit, and who's walking away with the bills. So I think there's a lot of value to that. I've been personally involved since 2015 with that event. I've been going to SHOT Show since 2005, so we'll talk about that one. And I've been going to the NRA show off and on since 2009. I'm pretty much off, more often off than on. But I feel like I've been there enough times and I've seen enough of these shows that when I watch other people go there, I get a pretty good idea what the show is like. Obviously, I can't know all the nuance of it. In addition to that, I've been on the road for a while, so I have been able to attend some events that are less known or less attended. And again, I got opinions on those. If people showed up and wanted to bring up some points on this, we can talk about that, either chat about the benefits or debate the necessity of. Worthwhile Fun is asking, where is the gun rights policy conference this year? It's in Phoenix, September 26th, I think. I'm going to go double check. So we have a website called guncalendars.com. And when you go there, there's a section over here for firearms events. Just the other night, we updated this stuff with everything I could find that's available. Some things we know they're coming, but they just haven't scheduled them yet. But the 38th Annual Gun Rights Policy Conference will be September 22nd, September 23rd, and September 24th. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now it'll also be the AmCon, which is on Friday. Speaking of the Gun Rights Policy Conference, this dude went to one in, 18?
Yeah, it was 2018 in Chicago.
Hey, thanks for jumping in. This roll call. So jumping in from, wait a minute, you're in Indiana?
I'm in Indiana, the Hoosier
and
State.
Then, what is it, 11:30 there?
It is 11:27.
So how many people are there? How many people have you contacted already? What's happening? Are you going?
Yeah, I just got done packing, so throwing everything in the truck. I think we're gonna get on the road around 6 o'clock. Indianapolis, on my time, they're an hour ahead of me.
Oh, really? Indiana's one of those states, where you've got different times on the same state?
Yeah, the further you go south, the more they go with, East Coast time, and some of them southern states.
Oh, so Indianapolis was like, we're kind of in the Midwest, but we love the East Coast so much that we're gonna use your time zone. Our time is your time.
Right, exactly.
That's what I kind of figured. I've been there enough times to understand Indianapolis that I'm okay with it, but y'all can keep it. I'm okay with it. So you got a couple hour drive down there, and then you staying over, or you driving back and forth all the time?
No, we're gonna stay the whole weekend this time. Last time it was here, we only stayed one day. I couldn't get off the time.
Okay, so then obviously you had you're about to experience it both ways, but you've experienced it the other way. You've decided to do it this way. Is it strictly a matter of driving, or is there more involved there, if I can ask?
At that point, financially, we were a little bit strapped financially, so we could only come down for one day. And plus, you know, I wish I could retire, but you can't retire because you got these things called bills and taxes you got to pay. So,
Good
work
chunk.
would only allow us so much time off.
Okay, well then that's valid. So in other words, sacrifice in order to get there wasn't you weren't able to sacrifice the way that you're able to this time or whatever. And then I guess the reason I was asking, so that's a valid response. Thank you for that. I was asking because I was wondering if let me ask it this way then: how much are you going to value hanging out Saturday night versus having to be like, yeah, like if you were to drive home, let's say, to save a couple of bucks and sleep at home instead of at a hotel, like assuming gas, that was actually cheaper. But instead of saying like, "Hey, everybody, see you in the morning," and then booking out of there at like 6 p.m. or something, so that you can go get some decent sleep and still be back, I would think that missing out on the hotel and whatever craziness is going to be going on, I'd be wanting to stay down there anyway, or staying down there just for that part.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, these are the times that I cherish, when it's this close. I mean, going to Wanamaker and stuff, that's cool because you have to make the time at Wanamaker. SHOT Show, you have to make the time to go because those places are so far away from where I'm at. But when it's like in my home state, this is my stomping ground, it's magical when you go down there and you haven't seen it. We went through the Coco nobody could hang out, nobody could do anything. Then Wanamaker came around, couldn't go to Wanamaker because things came up.
It's like
And
a 4-day drive or a 4-day event, no matter what, because of the driving.
yeah, for sure, man. I mean, you can get there in record time, but you're going to be dragging. If you're going to do content, that's another thing. You don't want to kind of burn yourself out driving all the time. But most definitely, man, this is a cool time. I'm going to get to see these guys. I'm going to get there, stay for the whole weekend. So instead of one day of rubbing elbows with shakers and movers of the Second Amendment culture, now I have 3 days to do it. Now I have 3 days to ask my questions, to ask them about what are we going to do about this step of gun control. Ask them what is the NRA going to do moving forward with all the problems they have. Plus, I seen that who was it? Gun Owners of America is going to go there. Now I can ask Gun Owners of America, what are you going to do to try and fill this void that the NRA is having with all the problems? How are we going to solve this? Look how much gun control has been passed so far. I mean, Michigan got some today. Washington's about to sign their assault weapons ban. Illinois is struggling mightily. And there's people from Illinois that are coming to Indiana for the show.
Yeah,
So there's
well, if
some
you're in Indiana, even if
conversation.
you're, well, I don't know what the farthest point in Illinois could be, but there's not many people on the farthest points of Illinois from Indianapolis. So most people are probably come from Chicago or the middle of Illinois. So yeah, it's like a couple hour drive, right? 3 hour, 4 hour drive.
Yeah. So, there's going to be tons of people from all walks of life there. Including the protesters people. I know Moms Demand Action is going to be there. There's
Well,
just,
we'll talk about that. I guess I'll star that, but go ahead.
but I'm just saying, having this many days to do this is so beneficial. And the questions that I have, hopefully I get the answers. Plus, I can talk to my own gun rights groups in my state. I don't know how important I can stress that enough to people who believe in the Second Amendment, believe what it stands for, believe what we fight for, to talk to your home base groups. These are the people that are keeping your state balanced, so we don't fall into the quagmires of fighting over assault weapons ban, magazine bans, or all the stuff that was signed in Michigan. This is the point where we say, enough is enough. This is what we're going to do. And then I even hear that Donald Trump and Mike Pence are going to be there. So it's going to add a lot of fuel to the fire coming up this weekend, man.
All right. So as far as the antis, they've been at every one that I'm aware of, and they'll typically show up kind of what do they call that? Like a flash mob. Like they'll show up and they'll do their thing and then they book it out of there. So like they'll show up, they'll arrange themselves on some stairs usually or in a field. There's a lake or a river or something right there that they because it's been in Indianapolis quite a few times now. So they'll go to some river that's right next to it, I think, and then if I'm thinking of the right place, and then stand on these steps, sort of that like next to the river, and then you can get these pictures, and it makes it look like a lot of people are standing there, but it's dozens of people, and it makes it look like a lot more because of the forced perspective or whatever that's called. So then they'll usually book it out of there. And back in the day when we were paying attention to this, I think it was like 11 or 13, 11, 12 or 13, somewhere in there. Well, it wasn't 12, so it had to be 11. Oh, maybe it was 12. So back in the mid, whatever that is, 2012, right? Back in those days, whenever it was in Indiana, I guess I could go look it up. There was people that were aware of that, and they were coming out to kind of count coup, right? They were just coming out to say they were there, and then, hey, we're standing up to the NRA. In Houston last time, you didn't go there, but you saw the crowds of antis at Houston.
Yeah, I mean that's. I think
kind of
that's
standing around more. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's the difference with those guys. Like tomorrow they'll all be there. Every single one of them. You name what anti-gun groups, gun grabbers, or the likes of them, they'll be there the first day, and they seem to filter out the next few days on.
So I guess what I'm thinking is, or what I'm going to ask is, that phenomenon of them, like they're going to come there and gain points because to their base, a certain amount of their base is like got to be like, oh no, leave the NRA alone, and a certain amount of their base is like, oh, you got to mess with the NRA every time you can, right? So they're going to have to do something just to appeal to some of their base. So my question is, I guess, do you think it'll be volume up from last year in Houston, where I believe the volume might have been the most it's been, at least that I've been paying attention to, and it was not much. It was essentially them standing around for a while with signs, with this sort of encouragement that protesting is kind of hip and trendy now. So do you think it'll be an increase, or do you think it'll be a decrease? I don't know, just based on whatever. And I don't know if you have an opinion or if you even thought about this. And then whoever's out there listening, what do you think?
Well, sometimes you get a mixed bag of results. Indiana's pro-gun to a point. We have our strong suits, and then we also have our failures. It all depends how the chapters of the anti-gun groupers want to do it. Like when we had the March to Give Away Your Rights thing in Valpo, when Military Arms Channel and all those guys were there, that was very organized. And when I mean organized, it was very, very organized.
You mean like the antis knew what they were doing and made it happen, like clockwork?
Oh yeah, man. They were lockstep and everything, man. I mean, they wouldn't talk to us. All they would do is scream, and then I see it. And that was what, man, when was that? That was
I don't even remember
5 years ago, 6 years ago. And look what we've gone through all the way up to this.
Definitely before all the not rioting, but protesting is cool or whatever. Before that whole trend. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was before Trump got in office. I think that's how far back it was. I think he was running for president at that time. Anyways, so you could see the amount of, organization that they have. Now, what we've seen led up to this point in time in life, are they going to come out like we saw at that point where there was buses and buses? I mean, I couldn't even count how many buses there were at that time. So are we going to have that same point? Because again, like you said, there's tons of anti-gun groups in Illinois, and there's some in Ohio.
The heat's up right now too, and I just don't know if they're looking for conflict or if they're satisfied with the pace or whatever you want to call it, like the level of heat, because they win. Period. Like they win when the heat's on, they win when the heat's off. I don't know if they need the distraction, if they need the money, if they need the perceived win or something. Like
And
So
they
I
need the
don't know.
presence.
I haven't been paying enough attention, so I'm definitely not sure how to call it.
I've been watching some groups here in Indiana, and they want to make a statement. They want a presence. They want to be heard. They want to be known. And I just watched a news report from Indianapolis. Moms Demand Action, and they're ready to go. They're gonna be the first ones there tomorrow. They're 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 getting kind of organized in our state. And again, we're gonna have to see how long they can hold on for the weekend, because I I kind of make fun of the National Guard because they're a bunch of weekend warriors, and that's how I kind of look at these anti-gun groups. They're there for a certain amount of time and then they're gone. So, but watching the levels of protesting up to this point, I mean, stuff can get out of hand. I mean, even on the other side of the spectrum, we saw how, open carrying and all that jazz kind of got out of hand in some instances. And I think now the anti-gunners, especially now that Indiana has constitutional carry, that ups the playing field, because I think the gun grabbers and these people, they won't mind to carry a gun now, because they know the kind of, I don't want to say strength, but the kind of showing when you see these guys show up with guns, because we've seen that in Portland, we've seen that in Chicago, we've seen that in Washington, D.C., Maryland, so on and so forth, that there's more and more of these anti-gunners that are carrying guns. So I don't know. I hope everybody keeps a cool head. I hope that they're separated pretty good, like from the entranceway where you go into the convention center, keep them on the other side of the street. I think the time for mingling is over. I mean, wave to them and move on, and let's start building strategies. We already know what they're about. They're like infants. They figure out, oh, we can get guns too. Oh, we can go, we're going to have to go and do this. And one of the funniest things that I've ever seen is here recently, I had one of these people that had that perspective come in, fill out a background check, and get delayed. So it's not as easy as they think. And I think we should just watch them, but pay little attention to them, and start figuring out bigger strategies for the long haul, the long term. Because let's face it, we're winning in the courts. Some of these other states are kind of facing, the long uphill battle of it. But again, this is the point.
The states that are getting wailed on right now are facing the consequences of the court victories that you're talking about.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
So they're kind of to be expected, especially in the places where there's going to be the most upset about the trend or whatever, the potential. I would say, as you were mentioning that with the anti, see, I'd separate the antis from the people that are anti-government. I think there's definitely anti-government or weird, like people that don't like capitalism or something that are carrying guns around, but anti-gunners, except for what's his face, and I guess if you want to say like they're kind of recruiting people who go, oh, I got a gun and I think safety from guns is the way to go. Like if you count those kind of people, then maybe, but you don't see too many. Well, I don't see any anti-gunners carrying guns around. The anti-gunners are typically going to show up with signs and they might yell or whatever. And I agree, it's probably not always the best time to send anybody across the aisle to talk to them, but it's always the best time to send somebody across the aisle. And I'll just add that when you mentioned the victories in the court, those are simply the things that people are able to see because they exist as singularities. But the thing that's not as easy to portray or to disseminate information about is the influence that the individuals have had with representatives and through just the media, and changing the political strategists and changing the tactics that the antis have used. So that part of it, I think that we've got potential for people to come into the mix and be outreach or whatever, like be some kind of uh, brand. I don't want to call it olive branch, but like, I think Tony Simon used the best thing. I think it was actually a gun rights policy 2018. At least that's when I think I heard it. That Tony said that if you just go up and say your position, that's meeting somebody halfway. Or when you meet somebody halfway, really just saying your position over and over again. You're stating your position. But when you want to put yourself in their shoes, you've gone a little bit over halfway. You've seen what it's like on their side of the fence, like from their position. And now you might understand like why they're complaining about the tree because it's blocking the sun or something. Or like now you can see why it is that they're, why they say what they're saying. And you may not have to agree with them. You can definitely go back to where you came from. You don't have to stay there permanently, but at least understanding their position allows you to better communicate with them. And I think that I know that we have that way more than we had back in 12. In 12, the best we had was people that would be willing to go over there and interview them for YouTube. Maybe not to mock them, but certainly knowing that they'd be mocked, right? Like that it would just be oh, look at the silly things they said, and maybe a little bit of strategy, like, oh, here's what they said, let's come up with a way to talk to them about that. But for the most part, there wasn't much attempt to go back and forth because there wasn't much nuance there. There was just the antis giving out the same old boilerplate every single time, and they were literally just the diehards. But now we got way more than diehards, and I think the only way that there's more antis is if there's more people that could give a shit. They either hate Trump or they hate something, right? They just hate their dad or whatever it is. So they're yelling and screaming because right now it's cool to yell and scream. So I don't want to throw everybody out with the bathwater, right? Like it's cool to yell and scream. So I'll ignore that the same way I'm going to ignore some kid that wears ripped jeans or something for 2 years because it's cool. Like they're never going to spend the rest of their life wearing ripped jeans. So why stress about it? So if I'm going to give people an opportunity to get past that, I just don't know if this is, I'm not going to go do that, but I don't know if this is the time to do it. I don't think it's as hot as what you're suggesting, but I'm definitely not, paying that much attention to it. But I think you're seeing it more potentially hotter than I am, because I think that this might be the year to see, I don't want to say somebody walking out there to have a conversation with them. But what I think there could be is something like a strategy of make some handouts, some pamphlets or something, and we know where they're going to hang out. And like you said, we know they're going to hang out tomorrow morning because that's what their strategy is. They're telling everybody. So if somebody went out there and placed a bunch of pamphlets out there that just said, why do you only want to get rid of one dangerous item? How does that really solve anything? Is this about the police have all the guns? Is that really what you want? Right? Like some of those basic questions, and leave them out there. I want to say like we would seed, like what's the word? Like questioning in any kind of group where people are just not paying attention to the full picture. They're taking it on face value, whatever they're being, whether the chant is, they're not really thinking about it. And I think some insightful questions there might actually get them thinking so that they go home and go, what the hell are we only caring about guns for? What about all those knives? We hate these violent people. Why don't we hate all their stuff? Why do we only care about the guns? Why are we leaving them? We're just coming in and getting them all madder. Like, some of the stuff that we complain about. But I don't know. Maybe I'm ranting now. We got caught off in a tangent. I don't know if you want to keep going on this. Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say the only reason why I say it's amped up a little bit is like what you saw in Tennessee. Like that was pretty, that was a pretty big eye opener. And
what are we talking about? Because I guess I might have missed it. Are you like a big parade or a big anti-rally?
Well, they kicked those 3 representatives out of legislature of like almost a week ago because they led a anti-gun protest on their floor, on their house floor, and all those kids showed up, like tons.
So that shit happens, and then 3 of the representatives say, let's hold some kind of anti-gun bullshit and exploit this even further. And then a bunch of dumbasses show up and make a big scene. And then they were held accountable and got removed from office.
And then they got reinstated.
Damn it.
Because they
I was like,
'cause-
dang, that's awesome. But then it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, guess who reinstated him? All those people that voted for him. So
What do you mean?
again,
Like, so they got kicked out by their like
by
peers?
by their peers. They got kicked out by their peers, and it went down to the jurisdictions of where they represent, and they just were like, well, you can go back.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? Honestly, then I guess that's the way the world should work. But still,
Well,
at least in principle, it was like, hey, fuckers, there's a consequence to this. Now,
yeah.
and I don't know. I'm not saying we're going to win by forcing people to have our opinion. So at least that shows them that, like, hey, that's not the way to do it. And, you know, I don't want people to go to jail for the rest of their lives because they were pissed as kids or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know where to draw lines there. But I hear you. So you're saying because of that, you think that it might just be like people want to go, oh, yeah, like, let's take it to the NRA convention.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at
It's possible. I mean, I'm sure some
Yeah.
people are foaming at the mouth for that shit. I just don't know how much momentum there is to actually drag their ass up to Indiana and then stand in front of a bunch of gun people. Stand in front of the legislator, can't do shit. It's one thing. Stand in front of a bunch of gun people who you know are armed. Like, that's a whole nother level of like, let's go. But they did in Houston, I guess, right? They were standing there with signs and yelling and screaming.
Well, yeah, you have. See, we're pretty diverse as a group of gun people, okay? But they're really diverse because what comes along with them is the Trump hating people, the Pence hating people. You have the people that just hate guns, and then the people that hate gun violence.
Republicans or hate,
Yeah.
hate the country.
Yeah,
There's a bunch of them.
yeah, so you get those people to join in there. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't doubt some of these kids are going to show up. I don't doubt some of these parents are going to show up that, you know, which is a horrible thing, that lost their kids. You
Well,
know?
that's the thing too, is there's definitely people in there that are unaware of guns and really think that if you just take away the one dangerous thing from good people, then bad people won't be able to get it. Just like when they took away the cocaine from all the good people, there's no more cocaine. When you took away all the fentanyl from the good people, there's no more fentanyl, right?
Right.
So that works pretty good. And then, you know, there's those people who are just misguided that just really have good intentions. And I think that we can't misjudge that, because there's going to be a whole lot of grandmas and just the people that have been there forever. Like, I've been wearing this shirt since 2012, and this is my thing, and NRA and Wayne Pierre hate kids and blah, 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 right? They're wrong, but they definitely have been doing it. And then this new person comes up and is like, let's firebomb them. I don't think that's going to, you know what I mean? Like, I'm putting my faith in, like, some of them old ladies are going to be like, hey, we're not firebombing nobody. Except the fuck up. You're not, But I don't know. But like I say, you never know. And there is definitely people that'll exploit this shit and fan the flames. But let's not talk about that, because fuck them. That's all bullshit anyway, and that's all just to exploit bullshit. So let's talk about the good stuff about this. Like we were kind of gotten off track there, but I appreciate it. The getting together and that kind of thing. What you got plans for yourself, for your channel, for your time down there?
Oh yeah, most
Any
definitely.
goals or anything?
What's that?
Well, you kind of explained some of them, but I mean, any, like, literally, are you going to take those questions and look for people, seek them out, and then try to do interviews or something, or just ask the questions and get the information and be able to talk about it? Or
yeah, most definitely. I've got some of my representatives from my area going down there. I want to talk to these people. I mean, the only time you get to talk to your representatives in my neck of the woods, anyways, you know, living in the podunk of nowhere, is like county fairs or state fairs,
when
and
they're
then you
kind of
don't ever see
campaigning
these
or
guys.
whatever.
Yeah, then you don't ever see these guys and gals. But this is the greatest opportunity to ask them the hard question and put them on the spot. I mean, there's no way they can talk about, anti-gun stuff to a point at this convention. So this is where you really need to pin them down, like we did Holcomb. You know what I'm saying? For constitutional carry, give them no ways out. I mean, if they're going to participate in this stuff and they're going to show up, you ask them the hard questions. How can we repeal Indiana's red flag law that's unconstitutional that we've had since what, 2005? Maybe 2008. I can't remember. But, and they want to encourage to extend it. And basically judge picking. Like, if if somebody claims that you're doing something bad, if that judge won't sign it, you can go find another judge in another county that signs it, and it carries the weight. And we need to talk to them about it. This is the time. This is when, if you want to be an advocate or advocate for the Second Amendment plus see cool stuff, this is the time to do it. This is where you go find these representatives. And it's most definitely, again, I can't say it enough. This is when you go talk to your state organizations and say, we need to form a strategy. I mean, some things have worked, but again, are we going to constantly focus on the federal level when look what's happening here in the last few days? It's a state level that is passing gun control. And this is one of the ways you keep it out of your state, is when these politicians show up, you put them on the spot. You're darn right I'm going to put some on camera. And if they don't want to be on camera, you're darn right I'm going to be like, hey, this guy, I don't know, representative from somewhere, he doesn't want to be on camera. He doesn't want to answer the hard questions, and put him on the spot. Because if these people don't want to do that, that's the only way to get them out of office. If they don't want to talk about these hard conversations, or they want to puddle around in circles, this is the great way to say, look, all these people are going to vote for you at some point in time. And if you can't answer the hard questions, then we're not going to vote for you. And you're going to be finding a different career or a different line of work. So, I mean, again, there's all kinds of things to do there. I mean, interacting in the media booth, last time we went there, I mean, that was pretty extravagant when you saw the meeting and everybody got up there and started kind of harping on the membership of the NRA. I mean, that was monumental. I'm not going to say it's like the Orange Hat Parade, but it was pretty monumental when speaker after speaker came up there and they're like, look, dude, you're not being true to what the organization is becoming or wants to become. You're taking it away from gun owners in general. So, I mean, there's a lot of things to cover there. There's so much, plus the networking with other YouTubers and getting insights and even talking about your gear, what's best for these kinds of shows. How do you go on meeting the people in industry? I mean, there's so much to do. And when you have 3 days to do it, you can accomplish a lot, and you can put a lot of content together. Like, I'm not going to be stingy. If I find something cool or I have a great conversation, it might not be edited up to the standards of most YouTubers, but I want to get that information out good, even if it's raw, and show them this is what's going on, man. This is what goes on in these conventions. These are the people you talk to. So there's tons of media stuff to do there for your YouTube channel. This is one of the great opportunities. And for me, it's a wonderful opportunity because it's only like 2.5 hours away. So I got 2.5 hour drive tomorrow, and I have 3 days of content. I have three days of questions. I have a book, like a little notebook filled with questions, and to ask these people, because I believe our rights are, they're taking a thumping here and there. We're winning here and there, but let's really put something together. I mean, it's time to start pussyfooting around. I mean, they're not messing around. They're getting legislation passed that's detrimental to people's rights. They're doing the things that they're doing. It's time to network. It's time to reach out to people, and it's time to put a plan together. That's what I think. Anyways.
Yeah, right on. That's what they're, that's why I'm posing the question, what do people think about traveling? Essentially, traveling is really gathering, right? Traveling is like, is it worth, I guess that's the same way as asking, is it worth the effort to get your ass to a place, a gathering, an event, whatever? Like, I really like rallies, these industry events are cool. Especially when they're large like this, you're going to get tons of people from the region because, like you say, it's an interesting enough event for all these reasons we're talking about, for people to make a drive. But then there's going to be a certain amount of people that either for their job or for just massive interest or whatever, and it's because it's one of the few events like this that's even available. are going to make the travel or make the trip from way across the country. So there's always going to be a mix of people and uh, folks from all over. So how many of them have you been to? How many of the NRA shows have you been to?
This will only be my second one.
Okay, so
My
then
second one, and then the first full visit.
oh, I heard Sean. Yeah, well, going is all we're really talking about. Having more time at it means you can get more accomplished, but having visited it, even if you can only jump in for a couple hours and get out, or even for 1 hour and get out, you get an idea of the scope and significance and the value there. If you don't see every booth, you understand the idea that the how many people are getting together and moseying around all this stuff, and then it goes both ways. The manufacturers would normally just get interaction from complaints or from broken things, warranty work, maybe occasional, thumbs up or 5 stars in a rating somewhere. And maybe that's about it. Maybe if they meet somebody personally at the range and it comes up that they're a manufacturer of something. So, being a manufacturer or a distributor or whatever it is of a product, being at a booth, even if you're not, the crew there, the employees there are able to get tons of information about their customers, their industry, and where they're at and the whole thing. So that part is pretty invaluable too. So pretty cool service, and for the community that's happening, and it happens at least for the NRA show in a different town every month, every year, and so that means different core people show up, and then those people that travel kind of pretty much stay consistent, I would think. So yeah, there's a lot there, and then that happens in the city, so you got to assume that the gun shops and the ranges are all going to get a little bump because there's more interest, more people in town, and that kind of thing. All the hotels get a bit of a bump. The restaurants for sure are going to get a bit of a bump. Ubers and things like that. I don't know what kind of stuff happens in a town, but something the size of NRA, I don't know. Do you know off the top of your head how big it is by any chance?
I think, what is it? It might be like 8 counties, something like that. Don't quote me on that. It's
What?
a
Eight
it's a
counties?
large it's a large area, man.
No, I'm saying how many people show up at it, how many attendees are at it.
Oh well, shoot. You figure at least 70,000 NRA members, at least. And
Okay.
then you hook in media, and then people that just want to come there, and maybe new people that want to join that organization. I mean, you easily get to 100,000 people that travel through there for the weekend.
Okay, yeah.
Easily.
So I just looked at the numbers here. I'll put a link in there if anybody wants to check them out. But we looked these up a while back, and yeah, typically somewhere around 80,000. It's gone up to 86,000 in 2003. It was at 80,000 in 2019, the last time it was in Indiana. So yeah, like you say, tens and tens and tens, almost 100,000 people are going to be there. Obviously, not all in the same room at the same time, but it's about the weekend, and the number of people, like you say, that are new or interested or just outside the realm and are curious to see what's up. I guess what I'm getting at is the impact of that. 80,000 people showing up. That's let's say 10,000 dinners that they're eating or more. I mean, technically it's 80,000, but like 10 or what is it? Something like 20,000 restaurants potentially are getting 20,000 tables being filled at our restaurants in town.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know what that is compared to other conventions in town, but if they have a convention center, they do have other conventions. So there might be a car convention, or it's Indiana. So what do you have, like wheat conventions and soya bean conventions or something?
Tractor shows.
Yeah. So, like whatever the other conventions are, I'm just saying, like, this is helping to normalize guns. It's helping to show people that, like, oh, the NRA came to town. Oh, really? Was there a wake of gunpowder and dead bodies? Like, no, we made a shit ton of money and they were all super nice. Like, there
Oh,
was no crime that weekend, that kind of thing.
oh man, I'm telling you, here recently, the last, I don't know, 3 months, man, Indianapolis has been struggling. struggling financially. I mean, look, places are closing. Places didn't come back after the coup. You know, that place kind of it's getting a little bit run down in some areas. This might pop it back open, man. This might, I mean, back in the day, Indianapolis was fantastic to go to. And I'm saying that not because I live in the state, because there was so much to do. But, you know, as years drug on and then we went through all this stuff, and, you know, that place has gotten kind of spicy in some areas of the town. So hopefully this give them a little bit of a jump start for the new year, and maybe they can keep this going. You
You
know,
got that race there still? Do you know how many people that
yeah.
brings in?
Oh, the Indianapolis 500. Oh, dude, I can't even. Dude, I couldn't even fathom how many people are there. I mean, NASCAR is a
Way
huge
more.
part of Indiana.
Way more though.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You're talking over 100,000 people. Well over. Yeah. They like to go watch cars drive in circles. I'm not a big fan of NASCAR. So, but I can only imagine how many people show up for that. And plus you got basketball stuff going on down there.
Ooh. Okay, so 2022 Indy 500, 325,000 people, the biggest since 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
it.
huge event. Huge
Nice.
event.
But
Every
still,
year.
that's so the NRA show is about a quarter of the, or wait, about a quarter of the Indianapolis 500, which isn't really too bad considering it's a massive international event and everything too.
Right.
But cars kill more people than guns, so let's not forget about that. And they're glorifying driving fast while they sit around drinking and smoking tobacco. So I'm just saying that happens at that event. Nobody gets protested. Well, and there might be some people that protested, and they do it with fossil fuels, dude. There's not one electric Indianapolis car, as far as I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, you know what they should do is with giant ass wind up cars, and then they wouldn't need no electric or nothing, just big ass wind ups. They'd stop at the pit stop and there'd be like dudes doing some kind of an elaborate crank dance thing, to like crank it really fast.
Well, then the ATF will come there and say you can't use cranks.
Yeah, that's true. They can only use cranks that can't be put up against their shoulders.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see. When I think one of the first times I ever interviewed, I can't honestly remember if it was ATF or FBI, but FBI will show up and hang out with ATF typically at these shows, especially at NRA, because they're only there for end user compliance. At SHOT Show, they'll both show up, but they're there for both regulation and compliance. So in other words, manufacturers and stores, right? So what you can sell and what you can make. At NRA, it's just more like what you could buy. So it's a little bit different, but I don't know actually what it'll be like now. But for a number of years, because of their stupid ass shit with the braces, it was difficult to get someone from ATF to be a media person. I was able to, for what the hell did I interview for 1 year? And I was able to get one to come down a hallway, and we had like an actual podcast interview about something. So I was pretty impressed that they had people. It was a year that wasn't very controversial, though. And I think it was on something like the number of, I think it was a backlog of NFA junk, and then the NFA junk backlog had flowed through. And I was asking them like how they did that, or if they brought new people on. I don't know. But anyway, each year I try to interview ATF or FBI or both at the show, just because. And I think I started doing that in 2009 at NRA. So that means that's a long ass way of me saying, unless they've changed, they'll be at the show. So have you thought about? You've got questions and stuff. Have you thought about interviewing them? Because if it is the same as it was then, it'll be the media people that are there.
Oh,
like
most definitely, man. For people that don't know, I work for an FFL, and I have a ton of questions about how they do things there, because like right now I've got 4 or 5 people on the board on delay. Like what is the process? What is the process when I send you the
Are you kidding?
information?
Really? 4 or
Yeah,
5
man.
people? I mean, I don't know how
Yeah.
big your shop is, but Bob's shop was probably 500 guns or something. And I mean,
Oh,
like,
we
I
could.
don't know if there was ever a couple of people at a time. Like maybe once in a while. I don't think there was ever more than a couple of people. I'd have to ask, I guess.
This is besides like a holiday or something of that nature. This is the most delays that I've ever seen without like it's not Christmas, it's not New Year's or it's nothing like that. It's just random days. And
Interesting.
oh, I like open status. What is open status? What does that mean when I don't get a single response for 20 days? Because we don't do the Brady law there. So like I have to wait for a response. So I've gotten people already. We canceled one out yesterday, 30 days. You didn't give me a response in 30 days. Why didn't you give me a response in 30 days? Are you denying people's rights or
But you're saying that in Indiana, you got a thing where you can't just proceed if it's not 5 business days?
yeah, basically it's up to the FFL whether they want to do that or not. And the reason
Oh,
why
okay.
yeah,
But now they're being dicks, so everybody's scared to do that.
well, nobody wants to sell a gun and then have to have it tracked because of
Oh, okay.
the way the ATF is being like
Yeah.
walking into
Okay.
places that, oh, we're gonna just audit you then.
No, I
You
hear you.
know,
I hear you. You're scared to let anything go unless you've gotten every single dot and every single slash of the T. So no wonder, yeah, that's messed up, dude.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I've got a ton of questions for these people. Like, why are you
I doubt
doing
they'll
this to
answer
people?
though. I mean, I don't want to be pessimistic, but I'll bet you they'll be like, "Oh no, we're here to answer questions about your 4473, not your questions about a 4473 as an FFL." You know what I mean? Like, but I don't
Right.
know. Maybe, hopefully, they will be there to answer those things.
Yeah, hopefully they will. I got a ton of questions to ask them. Like what is the procedure of when I send you the information and it goes into a researching mode? What is it researching? How does that come up and then it gets delayed? Like why does it get delayed?
Oh,
What
well, I've actually asked some questions. I haven't personally asked them that specific question, but I've definitely asked questions like that, and I know other people have. So I have seen the answer to that, and it can be varied, like super varied. It can be similar names, but it can be things like people always forget they have top secret clearance, or you know what I mean? Like when you had top secret clearance, then everything is delayed because that can't be looked at by a regular person. That has to go to an agent, from what I understand. So there's things like that. So that there's going to be procedural stuff, and some of it, I'm hoping law enforcement doesn't make everything obvious to everybody when they're doing an investigation or tactics or something. But at the same time, I'm not trying to justify stupid ass background checks, but I understand that there's probably some things that they do. Again, if like say somebody worked for a state or something, then maybe they have to wait for a state check. I don't know, something like that. So how would you know as the customer, as the guy at the gun shop, that this person worked for, let's say they worked for the Forest Service for a number of years, and now that's a government thing that they only, I don't know, like somebody has to go look at a piece of paper. And I'm not justifying it. I think it's good that stuff takes forever because then people get frustrated with it and challenge that it exists and get rid of it.
exactly?
So I don't want it to be like, oh, let's make it electric and let's make it easy. Nah, fuck all that. Let's get rid of it.
Oh, most definitely. Like I got a guy on delay right now, and he's got clearance to go into nuclear facilities.
That's why he's on delay for sure.
Yeah,
100%. He
that's
probably
probably
doesn't
why
have a
he's
lot
on
of
delay.
guns. Oh yeah, 100%. And I
Yeah.
mean, I only know that because one, I've heard it in interviews before, but then also just hanging out at the shop and knowing people on the border patrol and stuff, different levels of different kind of agencies and things. Like they know what's up, and sometimes there's other things. I don't know. You've probably seen it being around Chicago and stuff. There's they say military law enforcement that there's tons and tons and tons of levels of that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Or
I
shouldn't say
mean,
tons, but many levels of that stuff, federal and state, and then whatever.
I just There's a lot of things you can do there, man. There's a lot of things you can do there, and you got to take advantage of this stuff. You have to. If you have, and one of the things I'll really harp on is when this stuff is coming up in your area or somewhere else, do it in advance for your job. You say, like me, I saved paid time off. Like even for my wedding, I took an unpaid day off for my wedding because I knew I had to go to this, and I'd rather have a paid day off to go to this than my wedding. You know what I'm saying? It was just like I put this in months in advance. Soon as it came out of what days it was going to be and what weekend, I put it in there right off the get-go. So there's no way that my job could say, well, you didn't give me enough time. I'll be like, yeah, I give you 3-4 months to figure this out. Who's going to cover my shift on the counter? So you better figure that out because I'm going anyway. And do that the same with your hotel or your Airbnb. Get that stuff set up, and the quicker you can get in there, the quicker you can set up, the more smoother your transition is going to go. And I learned that from going to Wanamaker. And don't be staying up late with Matt and eating other people's pizza and doing things like that. If you're gonna really get to the nuts and bolts of things, it's so beneficial. I can't stress it enough.
So
And then,
that being said, is there anything planned you know of? Is anybody kind of get-togethers or meetups?
I kind of, when was it? Oh man, it was in somebody's chat. I think it was in Gary's chat. I asked him because I guess people are going to I didn't know Primary Arms was doing something. So I don't know if that was today or if it's tomorrow morning, but
It was
some
today.
people, was it
People
today?
have been,
I
well,
know.
at least there's been stuff posted about it today. So there might be another one, but there was definitely one today for sure.
Yeah, because I know a lot of the guys were meeting up there to go do the Primary Arms stuff. And then I think I was in Gary's shit, and I asked him where's everybody's gonna be at? Because we got free reign because we're media, so we can just walk in there. We don't have to dick around with anything, the lines and all that jazz. We just go right into the media room, get the credentials. Like, where are we gonna meet up? And some people were saying they're going to meet up in the media room, like how we did it the last time we were there. We all met in the hallway right in front of the media room. Pink and all of us, and who else was there?
Is
Gun
Pink going to
Snob.
be there?
I don't know if he's coming or not. We were having a shoe battle of who's going to wear the coolest shoes for the weekend, and then they were talking about wearing all their old geezer shoes. So I was like, well, I'm going to come in there. What?
Shoes. Clover bought all kinds of goofy shoes, from what I understand.
Oh yeah. Those guys bought all kinds of shoes. So I don't know if he's coming or not because they threatened me because I guess that guy's very savvy with the shoes, old Pink. So I don't know if he's coming or not. He bought a new car, so he should drive.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, but I mean, there's quite a few people going. It's just I don't know what time everybody's going to get there. Again, a lot of people are already there, so they're going to be there first thing in the morning. And I got a 2.5-hour drive because we were going to go to the hotel first, but we're like, nah, we're just going to go to the show. So I don't know, but I
So
definitely.
then, as far as cost goes, is this like a lot, a little, or medium?
Oh, I would say medium, just because of the way gas prices are right now here in the area. I don't know how it is around everybody else, but we went
Down
from
here, it's up to almost $5. It's like $4, almost, depending on where you go, between $4 and $5.
yeah, it's 402 here when I was leaving work tonight. 402. So you got to figure, I don't know if it's going to get cheaper the further south I go, or it's going to get more expensive the further south I go. Usually it gets a little bit cheaper the further south you go, but I mean you don't know until you get there. And
Well, here's
so
a tip I got from driving on the road so many miles. Go whichever road is downhill more.
both stuff. We got a lot of those here in Indiana. A lot of those rolling plains, as they say. And potholes. We have those.
And then just throw a hook onto a truck or something when you have to go uphill.
Yeah.
So they're neutral. They won't know.
Yeah.
So how many people do you think are going to be down there? Have you done a roll call, so to speak?
As far as I counted 10, and that's the people that I know. And plus, I'm bringing somebody. So, no, I'm bringing 2 people actually. So,
Right
bringing
on.
the
So
old.
then these are gun channels people because there's definitely more groups than there was back in the day. And then
No, just the old lady. But this is the other dude that helps me out with all the researching and stuff. When Night Strike doesn't show up to the show, then I have to call on him to do the researching for my show. Yeah, this is going to be his first time, so he's a first timer. He's never done this before.
right on.
So I get to watch him be amazed and wowed.
Well, I think NRA is unique too in that, like I say, everybody that's there is there to show off their stuff and to hang out and to be there. And there's no business being done for this, for the most part. So it's like somewhere like a chill atmosphere. It's more like I don't know, get together than a business event. So it's got to be pretty cool for people that are experiencing it. I kind of remember the first time I went in 9. And I don't think I really had any idea what was coming. Oh no, I guess I'd been to SHOT Show quite a few years, so I had no idea the scale of it though, and how close to being at SHOT Show it was. The place out here that it happened was in Phoenix, and it was a massive glass building. How is the building there? Is it like you're in a big basement, or is it like you're in a big, cool venue?
Yeah, it's pretty open. It's really open, like especially the floor. The floor is pretty open. I remember thinking 19. That's when Chuck Norris was there. Remember, Chuck Norris was hanging out with Glock.
Okay.
So they had a huge floor space for Glock because Chuck Norris was there.
And is it like just a big square so it's easy to figure it all out, or is it like
Yeah,
in
it's
shape or some shit?
way yeah, it's way easier than SHOT. There's no going outside and coming back in and going a different way, the basement, and no, it's pretty much one floor, but it's a big, huge rectangle
Yeah, I
type
got
of
to
deal.
experience SHOT at 2009 in Florida was like that, and then, well, I guess I don't know what shape the building is in Phoenix, but it was also like one big building for NRA, but I think it was like an L shape.
Yeah, like if you wanted to go to the meetings and all that jazz, you had to go across the street. I think they had it at the football field, if I'm not mistaken.
So, are you
I'm not
planning on going to any of that?
I actually I'm not a member. So maybe I can get in there with my media credentials, but the last time I had to watch it inside the media room.
Oh, I'm not talking about like the speeches and shit. I'm talking
Oh,
about the board meeting and like when the members can get up and be like, "What's going on? When are we changing shit?"
am I going to that stuff?
Yeah, that'll be in
Oh,
the smaller room, I think, on Saturday morning.
yeah, I think that's on Saturday. I'm going to try and get in there. I'm going to try and see what's going on in there.
And then the other thing that's happening 2A related would be on tomorrow morning. Let me double check. Pretty sure tomorrow morning, the DC project is marching, or no, not morning. Tomorrow at 2 p.m.
Tomorrow.
They're going to march from the NRA place to the Capitol, and
Yeah.
then have like a rally at the Capitol essentially for an hour.
Yeah,
And
I don't know if those dudes are going to that. I got an email about that.
what do you mean? Oh, you mean the
Uh,
people that are showing up?
yeah, DC Project. They emailed me and told me about it.
Right. So you're saying who's not going?
I don't know if those other guys are all going to go.
Oh yeah, well, I can't imagine too many people are going to go.
I mean,
If
I'll
anybody
go.
goes and streams, though, then I'll go live and host the streams or whatever, so we can see what it's like. But yeah, we'll see who shows up. But
Yeah,
that's for I guess an hour on Friday afternoon.
yeah, it's on Friday afternoon. That's Diane and all those guys.
It might be people that go to that who are like residents of Ohio, right? Like people that, or what am I saying? Residents of Indiana who like have a reason to want to go to the Capitol.
More than likely, I would think. I mean, see, there. Who do you got? You got Cheryl Todd, Diane. You got some of those people. I don't know. I have never seen them hang out with like people from Indiana. Have you? I don't know if there's anybody that's significant like those two are.
I'm trying to think who the Indiana rep is. I
Yeah,
don't know off the top of my head who their rep is.
yeah, I
It
don't
says
know either.
okay, so it's Friday at 3 p.m. at the front entrance, and they're going to have signs available, teal shirts and signs available while supplies last. So you might be able to get a free shirt too. So
Ooh,
3 p.m. at the Capitol, and then 4 p.m. is when, or like 3 p.m. I should say, is when they're meeting to march over there, and then they're going to make like a march together, and then 4 p.m. is when they go in to the Capitol. Here, I guess I could screen share here, and that'd be not screen share yet. So I don't know what time the event ends, but yeah, there'll be a bunch of people that are like, "Oh, I didn't go there to not hang out at the show," and I don't know what kind of traffic is like or whatever. I got the impression that this thing was like down by the airport, like south of the highway or something. I guess I have no idea where the convention center is.
no, it's almost smack dab in the middle of there. Pretty close. Because we're 15 minutes away, I think we are. But we're by the airport. Our hotel is by the airport there.
Okay, so I thought that maybe I was looking at something else, or maybe I'm thinking of Kentucky or one of those other times when it was in a different state.
Yeah, because it's smack dab in the middle of Indy. Because it's the walk is what, 10-20 minute walk to the Capitol, maybe 25 minutes if the most.
I gotta go look because I've spent some time in Indianapolis. I want to see on a real map where this whole thing is happening.
Yeah, because I don't think nobody would put together like a 2 mile walk. Shit.
No, hell no, 2 blocks, 2 blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like 15-20 minutes.
I think they're making it that long because they figure people are going to be walking down the sidewalk single file or some shit,
Yeah.
or maybe just taking forever to walk because they're, got issues or something, or old or whatever.
Hopefully they get coverage. Because I heard there's a lot of news channels that said they're going to show up too, from what I gathered on television.
You talking to the NRA show or to the DC Project thing specifically?
Uh, just to the NRA show specifically, but if they see all these people masked, I mean, if they get a good group of people,
True.
they're going to probably come over there and be like, "Hey, what are you guys about?"
Especially if they see a bunch of ladies, walking, they're going to be like, "Hey, what is this? Who are you against? Oh, you're against dumbass gun laws. What?"
Right. Women aren't supposed to have guns. G, remember what that senator said? It's appalling. You're supposed to call the police.
All right, so, all right, I can't find nothing in Indianapolis. They got a thing right in the center of town, but that's just some monument. So where is the Capitol? Is it right in the middle of town, or
It's got to be. It's got to be pretty close. Wherever the Capitol is, it's got to be right there.
War
I don't
Museum,
know.
University?
So if you're looking at the Capitol, I don't know if
Oh,
it's
I'm not. I'm trying.
west.
No, I'm looking just down at Indianapolis. Oh, I guess I turned my screen share off. Sorry. Hold on. Oh, okay. Here's the convention center. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
then it's the blue building right there,
yeah,
or at least that's
right
where
there.
they're going. So they're just going to meet. Oh, weird. Is it making that flash for everybody?
Yeah, I'm gonna have a
Buy
seizure.
things,
Watch out.
buy things at gearwebsites.com. Buy things at gearwebsites.com. Buy things at gearwebsites.com. So, yeah. So anyway, they want you to meet. Holy shit, is that convention center big? It's like 4
Dude,
city blocks.
it's huge, dude. It's a big
Yeah.
rectangle.
Wow.
Dude, the
There's a
food
parking
court
garage.
is massive.
Well, that's probably what we're going to get most of the reviews on. Oh, it was a pretty good show. Here's about the meat sandwich I ate there.
Nothing like Wanamaker where you get the chicken on a stick or the Philly steak sandwich. Oh man, I miss those. And there's no Whataburger down
Oh, no.
No, there's none of that.
So I'm trying to there we go. Well, I'm assuming drones are no good downtown,
Probably not, man.
but there are a couple of places where you could get like a picture from a building. I wonder what these are, like office buildings or what.
Out in front of the Capitol, you could probably fly a drone, but I don't know how they'd react to that. You start whipping a drone up in the air in front of the Capitol, because I know
That's
there's a huge open space there right in front.
yeah, there is. Well, there's a giant parking lot, but it's the wrong side. There's I don't know if that apartment buildings maybe, and they have like gardens that they're going to be walking past. And then there's some kind of giant theater. Ah, oh shit! It's trying to shout at me. I thought there was a bug crawling on me. It was my stupid dog's tail touching me. That's me with your creepy dog tail.
That's part of the strategy.
Yeah, big town.
Yeah, dude, it's huge. Indianapolis is not small, man. It's pretty big for a city, man.
I can't really click on this anymore. There it goes.
I mean, you got Lucas Oil Stadium there. You got where the Pacers play. Plus, you got where the Indianapolis 500 is. I mean, those are huge venues. Lucas Oil Stadium's giant. So I think that's right off the highway, though.
Where's the racetrack at? It's not right in town.
No, I think it might be a little bit on the outskirts of the town.
You would think you'd see. Is this bigger than the airport?
It might be.
I don't
I
think
mean,
I drove that far to it. I know I drove to it.
I haven't been down there in quite some time. I don't know if if the roads are different down there nowadays. Shit, the
How
last time
about,
I was down there.
Oh, I found it. It's way the hell. So if the town is o'clock, it's at 11 o'clock. The airport is at like I don't know, whatever, 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Yeah. So it's like northwest of town.
Yeah.
The speedway. I mean, so the what's the gun shop situation in Indianapolis? I've been to gun shops on the east side coming in from Ohio, and then going south on 65. So I've never really been to the gun shops over on the west side. If you've ever been to any of those or anything north, really.
Yeah, I've been to Top Guns Terre Haute. I've been down in that area. That's on the other side of Indianapolis. That's a phenomenal facility.
Is that the one with the guns with the YouTube channel?
Yeah, yeah.
Do a bunch of like, here's our used gun selection type of thing.
Or that's who is that? Marksman Shooting Sports. I bought a gun from that guy when I was coming up from Madison.
I always thought that was a cool channel to do that.
Oh yeah, dude. He's Chris is a cool guy. I mean, I don't,
It's in the Indianapolis area then.
Yeah, that's I think that's I want to say south of Indianapolis. What is that place called?
Oh, okay.
There's
some really cool stuff.
Whitefield, Indiana, something like that.
Oh, speaking of south, is Rick going?
I don't know, Rick.
Or did he move back? No, that was somebody else. So is Rick still in Indiana?
As far as I know, yeah. He's in, what is that, Birdseye, Indiana, or whatever that is? As far as I know, yeah. I guess his computer's on the Ritz or something. I'm not quite sure. But he went last time it was there. I don't know if he can get up there. I don't know how good Rick's health is, man. He's been, laboring with his health.
Oh, I didn't know. I was hoping he'd be doing better out there with the fresh air and everything.
It's got to be better than where he was.
Right, exactly. That's what I was hoping. Anyway, so how many gun shops have you been to in that area, do you think?
I've been to 4. And I think 2 of them don't exist anymore.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, I haven't like really traveled around that area looking for gun shops. Mainly like if I'm traveling through there or I'm coming back from another trip, I'll stop at these places. But I think two of them that I used to go to when I was down there, I don't think they exist anymore.
Something
I,
like Oklahoma, like when I go to Tulsa, I can go to every gun shop in Tulsa. When I go to Albuquerque, I can go to every gun shop in Albuquerque. Um, Oklahoma City, it's a little tougher because you start talking pawn shops and stuff, it gets way tougher. But I haven't even tried really. But I've been to a bunch of the gun shops in Oklahoma City. But something like Indianapolis, I mean, you'd have to spend a couple of days there, I would imagine, maybe even
oh,
4 days or something to get all the gun shops in town to actually spend time in them.
oh, most definitely, man. And Indianapolis is so big; they're spread out too.
Yeah,
They're
they're all
not
over.
like
I'd
boom, boom,
spent a few
boom.
days there, and I've only been to like 5 or 4 or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, they're
And
pretty
that was
spread.
one of the few gun shops that ever told me I couldn't take pictures. Of all the 200 something gun shops I've taken pictures of, there's only been like 4 or something, 3 that said no. And that was one of them.
Oh,
Waco, no, where's it? Where the aliens go? Roswell, New Mexico, Indianapolis, and and the other one was in Columbine, Colorado. I forgot where I was, but I think because of that, they were, they probably had some reason for that.
yeah. The places that I've gone to, I took pictures there. They didn't quite care. I
I
mean,
always
especially
ask, and most, like I say, something like 197 gun shops have been like, yeah, go ahead, what for? That kind of thing.
right. I mean, some people do. Some people, even around here, man. Like you can't take pictures at my place. I'm supposed to yell at you.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
How
but
many people come in and ask ever though? Because most people are like, I'm
oh,
gonna
they
take
don't.
pictures of that and show my wife, or I'm gonna take pictures and show my friend or whatever. So
Yeah,
how many people are actually like, hey, I want to take pictures. You mind? Like, you know what I mean? Like people probably don't ask that often, do they?
no, they just do it, and then you catch them doing it because we
Yeah.
got a
So
big
usually
sign.
it's more like, hey, there's rules, like or whatever. Like I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah,
But
like
usually if you
don't take.
ask, then it's like, oh, okay, for that reason, sure. So that's why I have luck. I think it's because I just ask and let them know it's for a reason.
Yeah, like I'll be like, yeah, you can't take pictures, but I can write down the gun and whatever you want to know about it. Here's a free piece of paper and I'll write it down for you. Which I've never understood that rule there because you can't be there all the time behind the counter. Like I do other things there than just sit behind the counter. So you can just see people just walking through there, snap, 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 and then you'll never know. I've never understood that rule.
This is the place that I went, or a different place.
This is the place you went to.
Okay. Yeah, I could see you being over there, and they're over there doing that. And you can't do nothing about it. So,
No, there's
yeah.
some of the other places, they're pretty cool about it, you know. Like there's a couple of new gun shops that opened up in the area here recently. That's where I bought my Model 19 as Armory 219. They do NFA stuff there. That's a pretty cool. It's a little shop, but it's pretty cool. And of course, you got the old Rule King. They opened up a year or two ago. Bought a couple of guns from them too.
All right. Well, we're 90 minutes in, and I don't want to keep you up all night. You got stuff to do tomorrow. I appreciate you jumping in, though, because otherwise we would probably jumped over and done something else tonight. But I figured you never know when like you said, there's a bunch of people that are already there and people that are traveling, perhaps. So figured throw out the link, see who might jump in, and have a room for people who are either on the road or maybe even people who aren't traveling this time, but would chime in on this whole concept. But I put the poll out there: how important is traveling for 2A? And options were critical, important, can be important, or not really all that necessary. So 0 votes for not really, 47% for important, 33% for critical, and 20% for can be important. So I don't know. Did I ask you where would you put traveling? How important is it for 2A?
I'd say it's not. I don't think it's critical, but it's pretty important. It's pretty important. You know, I critical is like you got to go to every fucking thing out there, and you just can't do that. It's impossible.
That's impossible. But I think it's critical for the community, right? It's critical that these things keep happening and that they're attended. But it's important for people to attend, to their pace and to their ability. You're right. It's impossible to go to all of them, and it's really not necessary. You know what I mean? Like maybe that's not true. I don't say it's not necessary. It would actually be pretty neat if there were kind of like 2A groupies or something that drove around like people that follow bands or whatever. But
Right.
Maybe once people retire, they start to follow around the different events in their campers, and they set up little shakedown streets or whatever they're going to call it, 2A streets, and they just sell like baked goods and well, hell, nowadays they could probably just go out there in most states and just sell whatever they would have sold back in the days at a concert. But
Yeah, right.
But you know what I mean? Like aside from everyone going and doing every single thing, I think it is important to go experience these things. I think it's super important, if not critical, to attend your state stuff. Like iGold or what does Indiana have? Do you have an annual one?
No.
Annual like gun rally or annual meeting of the legislature or anything like that? So
No.
there's an opportunity. But each state, how cool would it be if each state had a rally that gun owners know that they can rally to, and it isn't influenced by an individual horrible situation that a person who's looking for media infamy creates, at a time of their choosing, but instead it's scheduled and can be planned on. Like you say, these things are not free. They're not like super easy to get to. You only get X amount of time to spend on things like this. And if you've got significant other people in your life, some of them expect you to spend some of that time with them. So now, unless they're super interested in this, you're taking some of your valuable time from your, what you value, the stuff that you have all these firearms and this freedom to spend time with. You're literally sacrificing some of that time, not just roll call, but all the people that are there to do this stuff. And, that's cool. So, I think that these things are important, and I think that like I say, going to all of them isn't critical, but I think that the reason that they keep going is critical, because I think if we let ourselves go to the, we can do this all online. We could do this all with a Zoom call or whatever. We could record this once and everybody could just comment on it, and it's so much more efficient. I think then we lose that all the stuff you get when you're showing up and hanging out with people. We've been talking about some specific things, but you're going to be doing everything we talked about in and amongst 60 to 80,000 other people. Yeah. And there's no way that those are 60 to 80,000 people that have been to every one of these NRA shows. Of that 60 to 80, how many of them you think are brand new? This will be their first one.
Maybe 10,000 people.
See, I was going to say maybe even 20 or 30. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I'm thinking the industry itself, there's no way everyone's the same just because of people roll over. There's new companies. So however big the industry is that's there, a good 10 to 20% of them are new, if not more. But I'm thinking the gun owners, because not that many gun owners can even get there, care to get there. Think how many people hate the NRA, This right. is like, oh, it costs me money to go there, and I got to get a hotel, and then I got to go be around a bunch of people, or it'd be free for me to just sit at home and say I hate the NRA, right? So I think there's that. So the people that are going are going to be curious, like, I've heard about these things online, and I've never, now I can go. I can't go to SHOT Show. I can go to this. But I don't know. Maybe You'll have to let me know if you can tell. I don't know if the NRA tells people about that or if they have a way to know.
Oh, I'm bringing a new person that's never experienced this, never
Well,
done
that's
this
a good
before.
indication. Yeah, that's a third of 33% of your party is in that boat. So yeah. So I didn't. And what about in the group of people? You said you had 100 people are going or 10 people? You said 10.
As far as I know, there's about like 10 people that I know that are going.
So then, of those 10, some of them, like if you're counting Clover going, or let's say Ghost brings his daughter, are you counting the daughter or are you counting just Ghost?
I'd count the daughter.
Okay, so if you got 10 people coming, are those all brand new people? Or I mean, are those all been there before or are any of them new? And then I guess if that's not the way you're counting it, are there people coming with those 10 who might be new?
Yeah, that's how I would look at it.
Okay. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it wouldn't be that hard to see like 10, 20, even 30% of people, somewhere over 20. I don't want to say 30. That's kind of a lot, I guess. But it would be interesting to see how many of them are new to guns, or at least new to the NRA show. They don't have to be new to guns to decide this is the year I'm going to NRA show. Especially there's a factor with like you said, with everybody kind of being forced to not get together. This might be one of the first chances people got to actually get together because they can't go to SHOT unless you got all that blah blah blah, right? This all you got to do is go there.
Well, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll walk around with my little pad and paper and ask people, not to be encroaching on their experience, but to ask them, "This is your first time here," and see how many people I come up with, and then we'll answer
what
that
you could
question.
do? A way to do that without, like you say, bugging anybody would be like put a sign on your back or on like a stick, like if you're at a gun show selling a gun, like a sign that says, I'm doing an interview or something, or like, let me know if this is your first time at NRA, or like, tell me how many years you've been at NRA for my YouTube channel or some shit like that. And people would be like, oh shit, here's an opportunity to be on a YouTube channel, or that's fucking roll call.
Right.
They run up and steal something from you. Be careful.
I know. Yeah, I know. I got to pack a bunch of patches. That's another thing we didn't talk about. We didn't talk about trading.
We didn't talk about how I don't have any of your patches. What's up with that?
Oh, it's in the mailer. I already packed them up. I got to mail it out because I had to reopen your package because I'm sending you all that stuff from the ATF shit.
Oh, okay.
So I had to reopen it
before, and I'm like, oh, cool, here they are. And then it's like, oh, okay, it's some other patches.
Yeah, so I remember we got to trade patches when we go down there, people. That's very important. Where's my bag at? What do I got? I got some. Let me grab this bag real quick. What do I got? I got the Coco 19 2020 Survivor from Owl and Anchor on the toilet paper. Since we're coming out of this thing, a fuck gun control patch that I got from Michigan at the machine gun shoot. Of course, I got the chair against the wall patch from you. Another gun channels patch, the orange one, because people like orange, I guess. Of course, I have my FU Media patch, the sewn one, not the PVC one, the sewn one. That's how far back we're going. Smith & Wesson 40.
Oh, I could probably sew those again. I totally forgot about that. I don't have any white background, though. I have to mount some other color background.
And then the brace this. Remember that? Brace this. And those are the patches on my bag. That's what I'm going to take. And then I pulled a couple that I'm going to see if anybody wants to trade. Plus, I brought my own. But I don't know if anybody's going to want my stuff.
So what's your strategy? How many of your own are you bringing?
I think 36, maybe. I think there's 36 patches in the bag.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's like $70.
Pretty close. Well,
so then 75. So then, you got any kind of like business cards or anything?
Yes, I got 2 stacks of business cards.
So then, you got. Do your patches have a backing? Like, they have the loop Velcro?
Yeah, they're Velcroed.
But I mean, do you know how sometimes they have the loop on the back? Do they have that?
No, they don't.
Okay. Are they in a bag?
Yeah, they're like in a little bag.
Because then you can stick lots of that'll work too. Because I was going to say you can staple your business card to the loop part, and then that way your business card is stapled to your patch. But if you got the bag, that's even better. Just you can, if you feel like it while you're driving, have somebody. You say you got 2 people going with you, stuff business cards into the patches. That way, when you give them to somebody, they got your business card right away.
There you go.
A couple of people were doing that at Shot, and I thought that was pretty classy. I don't have bags on my patches, but I do have. I might do the stapling thing next year.
That's a good idea. Looks like somebody's got a job to do for 2 hours.
Otherwise, you gonna be collecting business cards from people?
Yeah, I'd probably take a couple of business cards. You know, some. I mean, there's supposed to be a lot of YouTubers at this one, so I mean, there's a lot of people.
Usually, there's more at this than there is anywhere else. At least
besides Shot, but
I think there's more here than Shot. Shot has a lot of media, but I don't think there's that many YouTubers at Shot. They don't got nothing they can do at Shot. They have to know people at Shot. Just walking around, you're kind of wasting everybody's time. So I mean, it's possible that they show up, but at NRA, it's like encouraged. Like, hey, you've never done this before? Show up. That's what it's for.
Well, I've seen a lot of people on the old YouTubes. They're kind of shying away from the NRA, man. I see 3 or 4 people that said they're not going to attend this year.
Oh, okay.
So,
big time or just regular people?
300,000 subscriber people. I would call
those people are always like, oh, whatever I do is because of some reason. It's never because like I can't afford to go or I misscheduled or they don't want me there. It's always like, oh no, I did it for a reason.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I think I definitely want to talk to some businesses. I definitely want to do that. I want to take some of their cards. I'd like to get a little bit on the inside track to kind of lay pressure off of buying everything. I mean, I don't get paid much at my job. So it's always good if somebody wants to send you something once in a while. You know, I'm not asking for something every other week, but you know,
I would suggest, let's say this some kind of a manufacturer, and you go up to me, go, listen, buddy, I need some T&E stuff, buddy. Give me some of that T&E.
Give me some of that tea. Well, see, if I had that little dog, I bet you I get every damn business card in that joint.
That's true.
That's the thing.
He's getting licky. I don't know what that means.
Oh, that's another thing I gotta look for is dogs. I gotta look for dogs.
Oh, you mean taking pictures of pups?
Yeah, gotta take pictures of dogs, man.
Oh, I'm sure. I actually haven't thought about that, but that's probably a thing than it used to be.
Yeah, there was a couple dogs there. I believe the last time I went, there's a couple dogs there.
Oh my goodness, puppy! What do you want? I shouldn't have got him up. Okay, you're going down. You're going down. I'm putting him down. It's gonna be good. As long as he doesn't go straight down and poop, I'm all right. He went down and went up. All right. Well, so then what about cameras and stuff? You got all kinds of fancy cameras? Or are you just bringing phones or what are you doing?
Well, this is the thing, man. I'm not very tech savvy, and I'm going to be tell you the first thing if you look at my videos that I'm not very tech savvy. While I was listening to your show and voting in your poll before I came on here, I'm trying to use my GoPro. Now, the GoPro has really good camera on it, and you can do like 360, things like that. Every time I've taken it to the show, it's malfunctioned in some way. So I'm going to take it again this time and see if I can get it going. Plus, I bought new batteries for this damn thing. You know how much them batteries are? And I got a chest rig
because I got one too, and the batteries are horrible on them.
Oh, dude, I think a pack of 2 was like $78.
Mine is super old, so I don't know if that makes it better or worse.
What is this thing? Let me see what this thing is.
I don't use mine because I didn't use it enough when I first got it, and I got it used, but I just never used it enough. The batteries are trash, so I can't figure out a way to run it with the batteries out of it. So I don't know.
This is the 8 black. That's what I have. The 8 black.
Mine's like a 3 or something. Mine's old. But yeah,
And then I
that's
have a chest rig too. So
to like put it on your chest.
yeah, put it on my chest and walk around.
Yeah. Is that what you're going to do there?
I'm gonna try and give it a shot, man. If I can get this thing to work, I'm gonna give it a shot. Because I took it down to Wanamaker and I got one video, and then I filmed like 3 things on this thing, and it never took it never took those. So I was like, what's going on here? So I'm gonna give it another shot, and I'm gonna make sure it works before I do everything. Because then I had,
do you know if Rogue Banshee's going?
man, I don't know if he's going or not. I haven't seen anything. I don't know. I might have to check my subscriptions. I might be unsubscribed from the dude.
I've
I
seen
haven't
some
seen
stuff, but I
anything.
haven't seen anything that said like he's going. But then not everybody makes a big thing about that they're packing or something. So I don't know if he's going and he just hasn't said anything, or if I did missed it. He certainly hasn't said. I don't think he said anything like I'm not going. But the reason I'm asking is because he's got a 360 camera, and that would be interesting. You said yours is 360.
Yeah, mine can do 360 and it can do slow motion and like
So
still.
putting it like on a stick and walking around with it like like an old walkie-talkie antenna or something, like sticking out of your backpack. Because then you would see, if they're allowed to do that, then that would see the booths and like the size of the thing and how crowded the aisles are and stuff. And you'd also be like kind of above everybody, so you wouldn't be like just looking at everybody. You'd be looking kind of down. Everybody look like ants a little bit.
Right. Yeah, see, that's the one thing that place doesn't have is like a mezzanine, like Wanamaker. Where you can get up on that mezzanine.
That would be awesome. But that one at Florida had one where you could go up to, at least it had like a walkway across the top, so you could see half a shot, walk across the other side of the walkway, like bridge thing, and see the other half a shot. So it doesn't have anything like that either, like any kind of thing up in the air.
No, not as far as I know. No, it's
So
just
they're not
all
quite
over the
like a
ground.
drone, but I would take like back in the day, one of my tricks before there was drones and stuff is I would take my camera, and it had like a 30-second and a 5-second before it would take like timer before it would take a picture. So I would put my camera on this tent stake thing or tent pole. So it was essentially the pole that would go on the tent. What do you call it? Like the tarp around the outside of the tent. So it went from like one side of the tent to the other in like a big arc. But that made the pole super fucking long, and it was like 3 or 4 pieces of aluminum. So altogether, it looked like a really skinny tripod or something. But I could stick them all together, and it'd be like this 16-foot long tall pole. And I'd put my camera on there, and I would hit the 30 seconds and take a picture thing, and then I would hit the button, shove it up in the air, and then get a picture from way up in the air. But it was always like some random ass picture of the wall or the ceiling, because be like 30 seconds later, it's taking the picture. I don't care where it is.
I did buy a new tripod, and it's 6 foot, and then I could hold that up.
Yeah, exactly.
Try and do that,
or put it in your backpack and just have the thing sticking out of it, right? And then that way you don't have to unless you wanted to carry around, I guess. But I don't know. Like I say, you could take a picture like that.
right?
My GoPro had the deal where you could control the GoPro through your phone. I'm sure yours does that.
Yeah, mine does that. That's why I've been messing with trying to figure out how to connect it, because it's got to find the GoPro and all this. I'm gonna have to have Cindy work on it while we.
There's probably gonna be like 200 GoPros in that building too.
Oh yeah, most definitely. There's got to be.
I just remembered that I'm getting tired, but I threatened that we were going to shut this down so you could get driving. I forgot that we're just sitting here bullshitting. You got to go drive tomorrow. So we did have the poll. Thanks everybody for voting in that. Whoever was joining us tonight, you were pretty quiet. There wasn't too many people out there chatting. So thanks to Roll Call for coming in and chatting here, so we could chat about travel. Often, I think unappreciated and just neglected facet of 2A, but getting your ass out on the road is valuable as shit, and it's a lot of fun, and we're way stronger when we know each other. This internet facilitates knowing who you want to go meet, but go meet them. Going random to a show would be all right. Going to a show where you know a bunch of people who you know, is a whole nother level. And if you're going to go meet somebody who you met online, why not meet them at a massive gun show, essentially, right?
Well, you gotta make sure they're not a robot. Sure.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Or some kind of weird bullshit, right? So we
Yeah,
got Roy
right.
out there. Thanks for joining us, Roy. We got Worthwhile Fun. Thanks for everything you're doing out there. Roll call, doing double duty, as they would say on the other chats. And then Gunmetal Guy. That was it. Nobody else out there tonight. So thanks everybody for joining us in the future, because nobody joined us tonight except for those folks. And yeah, roll call. Have a good chat, a good time out there. Drive safe and all that, and have fun, man. Have a good time.
Right on. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I'm going to play a commercial here. We'll chat offline if you want. But I'm going to play a commercial for the Gear website store. We've got codes out there for barbecue. Got a barbecue patch. Use code barbecue. Got codes out there for FOSS. Remember FOSS? That guy? If you use code FOSS, maybe we'll hook something up with roll call. And then maybe there'll be some kind of unique roll call patch that you can only get with code roll call when you purchase something over at their store. So thanks everybody for joining us and supporting us by buying stuff from the store. We're going to put the commercial up here that FOSS made a while back.